everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Unfiltered Wrestling. As we're joined by Tim. Hi, Tim. How you doing, mate?
I'm sound a lot better than you do, mate. I'm not doing too bad.
Yeah, weather change. I've come down with a bit of a cold. Well, we're here to talk wrestling, and what a week of wrestling it's been, especially NXT. And I can't really believe I'm going to say this in the same sentence, but TNA. Before we get into that, let's rewind back to Monday Night Raw, and obviously we've had Raw ramblings, but a big talking point coming out of Raw is obviously the Cody Seth storyline, getting ready for Crown Jewel. What do you think of it, and what do you think of this watch all of a sudden appearing?
So I remember the story that he gave it to Seth after he won the belt. I remember that he went round everybody and for want of a word, thanked them and gave them gifts. And obviously they'd had the main event the night before. So that was when Seth was a good guy. I like that they've linked it to something, that there is some sort of story as a result of this. I think one of the big things that we need to remember is Cody hasn't lost to Seth, and I think that's going to be played into the story a little bit.
Yeah, I like the story where it was headed. I like the Seth a bit self-doubt and asking Cody what does he think of him. The only issue I've got with the watch is, even Seth said it, I've never worn it until tonight. So it's a nice idea to throw back to remembering the gifts, but it's something that, in a way, doesn't really mean much to Seth because he's never worn it. But then they did focus on it because even had that separate segment when Becky was chewing the frame in the background, Seth just staring at the watch. So it's a bit weird, in my opinion, that all of a sudden this watch has come to the forefront. But I do like everything else around it. I do like, it's not Seth the total heel. It's sort of Seth the, can I live up to your expectation type thing. And I really like that angle.
I think it's important to remember that on Friday night, and I'll mention it now, Cody made sure that Booker T caught his watch. So I think this watch is going to play largely into the storyline.
Do you think this watch is playing the storyline of WWE's got another deal with like Rolex or something? So these product placements are getting mad this week.
I would, do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they did do some sort of deal. I mean, people that own Rolexes are the people that can afford to go to the venue. So let's go with that. But no, on a serious note, I just think when you want a story and you want to add a little bit of details, I think this is a really clever idea. I'm interested to see how they're going to manage it, though.
Yeah, no, I agree with you because obviously, like we said last week, we both sort of forgot about the Crown Jewel stipulation. So I just thought to myself, right, they've got 3 weeks to build this, how they're going to do it. And to actually start the way they did on Monday has actually made me intrigued in the match. So I think they've done really good start. Let's just hope they don't drop the ball over the next 2.5 weeks.
I think it'll be difficult for them to drop the ball. You're looking at probably the two best workers in the company. So I can't see this match being very poor. I think what you've got to be careful of, though, is that you don't over-egg it. You don't put too much on it.
Yeah, and what was another standout moment for you on this week's Raw?
There are lots of little things. I think I just worry Raw was almost like treading water this week. I think the fact that we've got Dominic and Rusev on Monday night, which is built up really well. And the women's division is slowly starting to heat up again, but it was essentially all about this Seth-Cody feud for me.
Then moving on to Tuesday, John Cena sent out quite a weird tweet sort of saying, hey, don't pick his opponents, but AJ Styles, are you listening? More importantly, Triple H, are you listening? Which then led into this Crown Jewel match being announced. Since this match has been in the works for ages, so this was planned ages ago for these two to have this match. Quite an interesting match, and like you just mentioned, they're both Raw guys. What do you think about this whole situation?
This is a match I want to see. Since we're reliving the highlights, this is definitely one that should be on there. It does ask questions on why we had the ending of the Brock match like we did. If it's again and it's one and done and Brock is now going to hide underneath his rock again, like he does in between these periods. But this is a match I want to see. I want to see these two go at it. It's come out. AJ said that he should be at WrestleMania. His contract ends sort of like February, but this is it. This is his last hurrah as well. So he will probably go through to WrestleMania, maybe one more event after that, and then he's done. So this could be the clash of two guys nearing the end of their career, desperately trying to go out on a high.
Yeah, it's good that we're getting it. And like I said a minute ago, apparently it's been planned for a little while. That's maybe why we got the Stars clash at Clash in Paris from John, sort of planting the seeds. I know he said he's paying tribute to people that he can't fight, but then obviously he's now fighting AJ after doing that move. I'm really looking forward to this match. I think it was a good move. And the good thing about John this year, because we know it's his retirement tour, and we know we've only got so many dates left with him, we can sort of forgive the mistakes. Like, a lot of people have said the Hill run was a big mistake. I like parts of the Hill run. The Brock Lesnar moment, no one gets why it happened the way it did, but we can forget about it because we know we've only got like 4 or 5 dates left with John. So I don't think it's harming it too much, but...
No, I'm with you. This makes sense. And if you're going to keep him off telly just so he gets a huge pop when he comes in, AJ's got a match next week, or this week, should I say, with him and Dragon Lee and the Americanos. I'm hoping that this will end up like tying a bow nicely on the whole feud with the Americanos and AJ so that he can move on. I'd like to see him have one more crack at something, whether that is the Intercontinental title again, or maybe he goes up against Seth for a little bit.
Because of he's sort of come out and said this is virtually his last hurrah, and how strong the relationship with TNA and WWE is at the moment, do you think he has a couple of matches on TNA before he says goodbye?
He's definitely having one more match on TNA. 100%. He's definitely going to have that. I'm surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they announce it. I'm trying to think of what their big pay-per-view is. Slammiversary. I think that's at the beginning of the year. If they announce that he makes that one final time, that match against somebody over there that he will probably put over. Either that or he'll face Frankie Kazarian, one of his friends.
Yeah, I really hope he has one more match on TNA. And talking about TNA, we obviously had NXT on Tuesday night. You spoke about this invasion sort of angle coming, and it happened this Tuesday. What did you think?
It was a great show. It was, I have to be honest, I think it was good from start to finish. The one thing I was most worried about was watching a speed match. The idea of this concept of 3 minutes just seemed really alien to me. I was thinking we're going back to some of the Attitude Era type matches. In fact, for 3 minutes, it just went straight away. I'd said to you before, there's no way that the Trick and Oberfemi match finishes anything other than a non-finish. And surprise, surprise, I wasn't let down.
Do you think, though, they sort of let themselves down a bit by kept showing TNA stars throughout the night, and during the match, they kept focusing on TNA stars in the crowd, so it's sort of... I think you sort of knew it was coming. I think I'd rather have liked it, you know, when like Becky Lynch invaded Raw with the SmackDown thing, where they just literally at the end just walked down through the crowd and attacked everyone. I think I would have preferred that. I think seeing everyone throughout the night, I think you sort of anticipated it happening.
So the controversial one is no. I actually think it worked better to show the guys. And let's be honest, they didn't jump the match at the beginning. They let the pair of them have what appeared to be a really good match. I'm on the fence with Oberfemi. He looks good, but I was a little bit unsure about him. Watching him more and more, I'm getting more into him. But the ending happens when Trick Williams hits Mike Santana and Mike throws a punch back, and that's when everybody jumps in. And I think that's the important part to remember. Until that point, TNA had just been watching it and were probably going to attack after the match.
Really enjoyed it, and it shows. I don't know how much Triple H involvement in NXT is, but if Shawn Michaels has got the creative control, it just shows what a great mind. And we know Shawn Michaels is a great mind, but he sort of really seems to understand where the fans are at the moment, and that creative team down at NXT are just doing a really good job. And I like the way TNA are coexisting with them to put on great performances.
Yeah, I can't disagree. They are looking fantastic. I can't. I'm just trying to work out where the stop-start needs to be. I think also this week, on top of that, you've had Joe Hendry against Darkseid, and that storyline is coming together nicely. As you and I have said for weeks, Joe Hendry is in all but name an NXT star, so they appear to be telling that story quite well.
And that led on to TNA on Thursday. Now, obviously, with the hype that happened on Tuesday, we sort of felt a little bit let down at first, but then when realising it's pre-recorded, they couldn't really add anything into it because it was filmed a couple of weeks ago. That's why we didn't get any more NXT stuff on TNA. But did you see the show? Overall, what did you think of the show?
It was a solid program from TNA. Nothing over the top, building a lot towards their pay-per-view on Friday evening, or PLE, because I think it's on TNA Plus. They were building towards it, so it felt like it was a good go-home show. But as I've said to you before, I think they missed this by doing a pre-record. If this has come around as a last minute, somebody in TNA should have said to WWE, look, we're pre-recorded. We're not going to be able to help you out at all. And I think that's the problem. As it was, one NXT guy did turn up on the Victory Road card, and, well, two technically, one in a match, and he got beaten. So that wasn't a good build either. It just feels like TNA missed an opportunity by pre-recording, and maybe NXT missed the opportunity by not letting them know this was what they were going to do.
Yeah, like you said, it obviously then proves we don't know how much this decision was. But talking about Victory Road, as we know, TNA are quite solid at producing shows and their PLEs or pay-per-views, or whatever we're calling them. And Victory Road, I think, was quite a decent showing of TNA again. Obviously, it's getting more attention now because of the stuff with NXT. So I think, yeah, they put on a decent night of wrestling.
Yeah, the card was really solid. Ridge Holland getting beat by Mike Santana wasn't a surprise. If I was TNA, that was what I would expect. You want to hand it over. We had two new champions. Firstly, let's mention as I've said, Frankie Kazarian won the TNA International Championship. He beat Steve Macklin. We also had Kalani Jordan from NXT pick up the vacant TNA Knockouts Championship. That was a really solid match. Both women doing well. Indy Hartwell as well as the referee, which sets up Kalani Jordan versus Indy Hartwell at Bound for Glory next month. So that's good. Leon Slater also won. He has since been challenged by Javon Evans of NXT for the X Division. So that could be a really good match. So it was a lot of good stories, I think you can say.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And then also, obviously later on in the night, we had SmackDown. Sammy's Open United States Championship. I love this part of SmackDown. The only issue I'm having, which is different to John's, leaks are getting out or matches are already being announced. So we sort of knew that Javon Evans have this match, but he put on a really good showing. Javon Evans has got a bright future in the business, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. He flies around like a cruiserweight. At times he looks a little bit gangly, a little bit like that, but he manages to throw the world out. He's a fantastic talent. Talk about him again about Saturday's card. But he looks like he's got a lot of talent. He's somebody that really interests me going forward. And WWE obviously feel like that because that's the second interaction Sammy's had with him.
Yeah, and of course, whereas we know with wrestling, you need a good dance partner, and Sammy put on a great show as well. I'm with you. I hope he keeps this title going to the end of the year at least. I know you think he's going to win the Rumble, so maybe at least definitely keep this belt on him till at least December or something.
Yeah, I'd certainly think you need to keep it going on until, imagine, probably give it back to Solo once we've done whatever Solo's doing with his promos at the moment. But I liked it. It gave me a lot of sense. I like his new way in which he's delivering the haluva kick followed by the blue thunder bomb combination, starting to show that looks really well. I'm really pleased. I think that works. Like, that's a great story.
Yeah, and talking about weird segments, we had Paul Heyman come out to start talking about Brock, and then Cody come out and said, "Tell us about Brock." But Paul Heyman was just about to say about Brock, and then we got no answers about Brock. It was just a weird interaction, and I know it was obviously with the Vision as well, but again, we're getting this cross-branding quite a lot. It's like brands don't matter at the moment. Some guys are just appearing on Raw and then on SmackDown and vice versa, and it's just getting a bit confusing now.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Vision appear to go wherever they want to, but for the second week in a row, Seth's not been with them when they've gone over to SmackDown, so that's a little bit weird. I imagine that we're setting up for Cody to face Bron Breakker at some point, and that's why we're setting this up. I don't want another Cody Brock match, please. Let's not go near that one again. They had a good series of matches. And as we said earlier, I think he's gone away for a little while. I think they're just going to hide him underneath the rock. Paul's done that to get some sort of reaction. And Cody's the right guy to send out as a result of it, especially with their feud. That works for me, I think.
The only issue with that, though, if they set up a Cody Bron match, great. But Cody's the SmackDown champ. The Visionary are meant to be Raw guys. That means you're then going to bring the Visionary back over to SmackDown, and then leave Seth on his own because he's the Raw champ. So it doesn't make the group cohesive. Like, it's been too early, I think, to separate them. But that's the way they've been going because that's the way the storylines are heading.
I wouldn't be surprised if in January Cody turns up on Raw.
But without the belt?
Yeah.
Okay, who do you think he's dropping to then?
Drew. Absolutely. We're not finished with that one. But again, that led on to a really weird segment with Drew and Jacob, and who's been missing for weeks, who suddenly turns up. And I liked what he was saying, but at no point should he be beating Drew yet.
No, totally agree. And I know it's a really weird thing to pick up on, but because we've got football over here or soccer, Jacob's top the wrong way round to me because he had the number and the name on the front. Where we're so used in sports seeing the number and the name on the back, and that just put me off a bit. But yeah, I agree with you. It's way too early to have Jacob off of TV and then come back and start like beating Drew. So yeah.
Yeah, I can only assume he's gonna have a mini feud with Jacob before then taking the belt off Cody. As I said, if you were going to book that, you then book the Rumble as the main event between Cody, round 3 between Cody and Drew in some sort of stipulation match, like they did with Kevin Owens thing beginning of this year. As long as they're careful, that's all I care about. Both stars are at the top of the game. It's worth mentioning Drew's going to disappear at some point soon. He's been announced he's part of the new Highlander movie. He'll be playing Henry Cavill's brother. I think it's Angus MacLeod. So he'll disappear for some time. So I think they've just got to be very careful how they do this.
Yeah, this might be a 3-week stop because WWE might have even forgot about their stipulation of champ versus champ until a couple of weeks ago they thought, oh, sugar, we're going to have to pause everything and get the Crown Jewel out of the way. So, yeah, it just might be, like you said, just a mini thing just to tick over the next 3 weeks so Drew still gets his TV time while Cody's dealing with Seth. Talking about Crown Jewel and title for title, we've got the SmackDown Women's Champ triple threat match as our main event. Now, obviously, there's controversy at the end, but the match itself was a little bit up and down with miscommunication and stuff. What did you think of the match itself before we get to the ending?
I like all three women, I really do, and I really think they are a big part of certainly the SmackDown title challenge. But this match at times really didn't connect. Remember I said to you the other week when I said to you, I thought that the Tiffany Jade one looked a little bit awkward until it did start connecting. This one didn't feel like the gears just kept knocking. They kept being a small little bits. And yeah, you've got to mention, we might as well get it out there. There has been a really, really bad decision. Whoever's fault it was, it happens. But with the fact that the match then, like, the finish was 30 seconds after this, WWE bodged this one, I think. And I'm going to blame WWE, not the competitors.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if Tiffy was meant to win like she did, then just count that 3. Okay, maybe you don't get the finish in the end. I actually think Jade was meant to do a pull out of the ref or fly kick to break up the pin. Then Tiffy was going to throw her out and then do the prettiest moonsault. Because when both girls did roll over, they both stared at Jade. But obviously Jade had that horrific injury that even if she's got spots after that, she ain't going to be in no fit state of mind to do the spot. So I think, especially Nia's professionalism, because she's been in the business a long time, she should have just called on the fly and just said, like, go for the pin or whatever. Because, like, obviously the referees, she's quite new. She's not been in it like 5-10 years. Tiffy's not been in it for 5 or 10 years. Nia's sort of the veteran, and she could have called something on the fly if Jade was meant to come in on that spot. I get it. If it was the other way around, if Nia was pinning Tiffany and that weren't meant to be the ending, then maybe you have to botch it out. But the fact that Tiffany was meant to win, then they should have just counted that 3.
I mean, the other option is the fact that maybe she wasn't supposed to win. Maybe the referee, because you can see Nia come up and say to the ref after she's kicked out, after the ref has missed the count, the 3 count, after she's missed out, she talks to the referee. Again, as we said, the knock that Jade took wasn't mean. Even if Jade was supposed to be involved in the finish, somebody needed to call that one on the fly and go, okay, Tiff, you're going to win. We're going to do it this way. And that way, you live with you live with the way in which it should be. This was missed. WWE really missed this one because, again, as we're told, referees are supposed to count the pinfall no matter what, and she doesn't. And I assume that's because somebody's in her ear saying, this isn't the finish.
It still ruined the feel of the match. I don't think they're going to live it down for a little while.
Feels like to me that they need to take the belt off Tiffany. She's, as I said, she's a great star. She's got a great ability. I think now's the right time to take the belt off her and then move it on to someone else. But as we've been saying, other than the 3 women, who else is there to challenge for the title?
It's really weird because, like we said 2-3 months ago, we were saying that the SmackDown Women division was the best thing in wrestling, and it just seems like it's just filtered right down to these 3 women. And what can you do?
Yeah, exactly it. Exactly it.
And then we thought, okay, it's Friday, wrestling's done for the weekend. And of course not, because we had NXT No Mercy. And this, again, was a really good PLE event from NXT, guys.
Oh, this has been the best wrestling show of the week, without a doubt. My God, what a performance. Like, from the start of the card all the way down to the bottom, with everybody interacting. I loved it.
Yeah, and of course we had that big announcement from Ava that we're going to get a Survivor Series style NXT versus TNA invasion angle We just needed Willie Rigo to pop up behind her and shout out War Games, but he didn't. But basically, yeah, it's NXT and TNA's version of War Games. Both teams are going to be picked next week, and I think it's happening on the 7th of October. This is a really exciting angle.
Ava also announced the tag team match between Darkseid and Hardys to unify the belts. This could be a really good match, but I think with the fact that within a week the Hardy Boys take on their 3D for tag titles in what appears to be a tables match now, I can't see the Hardys losing that, so I think they're going to pick up both belts, get them on both programs.
Yeah, and I think it's really good for the show. The only thing I worry where the Hardys are getting on a bit, if they pick up a massive injury in this match on the 7th, how much does that jeopardise the dream match we want to see one last time?
Well, we all know what Jeff's like. I imagine he'll go through it. And Matt's worked with a concussion before, so let's not rule anything out, unfortunately.
No, exactly. And then moving on through the No Mercy card, Javon Evans made another fantastic appearance for the second night in a row.
Yeah, he beat Josh Briggs for just for a match. With their feud going on, he looked really well. Javon looked great. Josh Briggs, it's really weird watching that match, and they were given a good solid, I would say a good solid 20 minutes to open the card. It's very difficult to see where his next position is at the moment. He looked good. He wrestled really well. But unlike Javon Evans, where we've both said we think he can go on, Josh probably is going to be around for a little while. And I think he needs to, I don't know, set himself apart from others. So we had some great matches on top of that. I'll talk about the Women's NXT Championship between JCJ and Lola Vice. I was a bit concerned as I was watching it, worried that Lola wouldn't look so strong. She came out looking fantastic. JCJ looks like an absolute star as the NXT champion. But she obviously got a pinfall victory through somebody coming out and kicking her. I don't know who that is. We'll have to watch NXT to watch that. But I think the big story for me was the weaponized steel cage match between Jordynne Grace and Blake Monroe. I mean, their story's been going on for a couple of weeks, but my God, was that stiff. That was like watching a John Moxley AEW match. That's how brutal it really was. We got, when they get out the bag, and she's got a bag, I'm thinking, oh God, not thumbtacks. Are we really at that stage? We've already done quite a lot. This is going to be brutal. And she pulls out, and she pulls watches and diamonds, and they're suplexing each other onto these things. It's not like a thumbtack which goes into you. This thing comes, it's sucking. Oh, it was horrific. They looked great. Absolutely great.
Angle as well, because if we see that in a man's match, we just think, oh, that's a bit of goofiness, silliness. But we know what women are like about their hair being part of their identity. So the fact that her hair she's got chopped up, I just thought that for visually and for like disrespect and all that, that was a great bit of, like you said, just a crazy John Moxley style match. So yeah, really hats off to both women in that match.
I think it's important to remember that it wasn't like Blake just cut off a little bit of her hair. She went to town on her hair. If I was Jordynne Grace and I had hair, I haven't, I would literally be going mad. That had to be an agreed spot, because if it didn't, there are going to be a lot of potatoes being thrown quite after this. It got the story across. I think Jordynne Grace is going to be the person that takes the next Women's NXT Championship, but we'll see.
And then, of course, we had the main event, and old Ricky Saints, nearly said Ricky Stark then. Saint is now our NXT champion. I think that was a really good decision.
Yes. Yeah, it was a very strange match because Obafemi literally beat the living hell out of him. But Ricky Saints has got that look. He's got that championship look. To me, he looks like a very young Rock. Like when the Rock's coming through, or as he's starting to build up, he looks slight, but his moveset's pretty impressive. And he took over Femi to the limit.
Yeah, so that was a busy week of wrestling, and it looks like we've got many more weeks to come. Unfortunately, Tim, you've got to dive all through that to come up with a Tim's top talent of the week and a Tim's match of the week. So I don't know which one you want to take first.
Let's go with the match of the week, and I recommend everybody goes and watches it. It's the Blake Monroe versus Jordynne Grace weaponized cage match. Please watch it. It's something unique from NXT. We haven't seen stuff like this on WWE TV. If you want to watch two women go at it and show that they're ready for the next level, watch that one. As for my star of the week, it's got to be the guy that appeared on so many shows this week and looks such a great future talent. That's Javon Evans.
Much for your time this week. We are bringing back our question of the week this Wednesday. So, guys, if there's anything you want to say about the stuff we spoke about today, please leave your comments. If not, please join us Wednesday for our question of the week.
And I'll see you Wednesday, Lou.